Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 611, Moria's Showcase of the Shadow Monarch's Power. Hunter's Island. Inside the central prison walls. Stop struggling in vain, Moria. It's impossible to escape amidst this siege. Fufufu, you're already as good as dead. At this moment, all eyes were on the young man who looked more like a vampire than a human. Moria, currently 26 years old, was trapped within a circle inside the cell, surrounded by hundreds of mocking hunters, including 18-year-old Doflamingo, who had just spoken in a mocking tone. Author's note: to clarify the timeline of the story, it is exactly 22 years before Luffy sets sail. The slight age changes in characters not yet born or just born compared to the original are due to the butterfly effect. After all, 5 years have passed since Rob arrived in this world and contributed to many changes in the original plot, such as Robin being born earlier than scheduled, and the accelerated pregnancies of Law, Sanji, and Hiyori, among others. Alongside Doflamingo stood his brother Rozinante and Enel. Not far from them were Beckman, Yasopp, and dozens of other A-rank hunters, all possessing strong devil fruit powers, formidable sword skills, or terrifying mastery of two types of haki. Only these individuals, all as powerful as vice admirals in the Marine, made Moria sweat. The characters at the forefront that terrified him the most were the six figures. In order: the Horror Hunter, Bullet; the Sickness Hunter, Shakuyaki; the Death Hunter, Belmir; the Empress of Hunters, Alvia; the Sword Hunter, Mihawk; the Universe Hunter, Isho. Their powerful auras alone made Moria contemplate surrender. Damn Akiji and Kizaru. They escaped decisively before the main hunter forces arrived. Why did they leave me behind? Why didn't they take me with them? Moria was at a loss for words. Previously, when they found the cell imprisoning Hogback, they immediately entered and identified Hogback near them. However, they didn't expect to be detected and countered so swiftly. 6 legendary hunters were summoned to deal with them. Seeing this, both Akiji and Kizaru chose to escape decisively. Strange summoning circles with runic symbols appeared under both Kuzan and Borsalino. When the circles disappeared, the two also vanished, leaving Moria in his current predicament. Since the situation has already reached this impasse, I have no other choice. Damn, I plan to use this power against your leader, you bastards. Arise! My soldiers, Kiishishishishi. Kaishishishishishi. Show them the terror of the Shadow Monarch. At that moment, a black darkness began to envelop Moria like a flame of black fire. However, it wasn't fire or darkness, but shadows. In the next moment, the black shadow covered the ground around Moria for hundreds of meters like a dark, ominous shroud. Then a familiar scene for hunters unfolded, causing their scalps to tingle. Dozens, no, hundreds of black shadows emerged from the darkness surrounding Moria. They came in various sizes and shapes. Some were shadows of predatory animals like giant black panthers and dinosaurs, while others were shadows of powerful humanoid creatures, exuding a strong aura. They were truly shadow soldiers. This. Impossible. How can this be? Is this Sung Jinwoo's power? Why is he using his power? He has the Shadow Fruit, so he can draw inspiration from solo leveling to evolve like the protagonist in that story. They have similar powers in essence, but it's unreasonable to be as strong as Sung Jinwoo. He doesn't have any magical power to support that. At this moment, Mihawk provided a convincing explanation to his comrades, easing their sudden fear. Yes, that's true. The Sword Hunter is right. It's impossible to replicate magical powers because they don't exist in our world. The closest power comparable to magical power in our world is Haki. His Haki can barely be compared to a B-rank hunter. So he's just a paper tiger at the moment. When Bullet finished speaking, a terrifying conqueror haki emanated from him, causing Moriya's cheeks to contract as if he were about to faint. For this reason, he is called the Horror Hunter. His shadows were unaffected because they were just puppets and not real humans with free will.
Well, this is very interesting.
At this moment, a voice reached Moriya's ears, a voice he didn't want to hear even in his dreams, no, in his nightmares. Rob floated above the crowd of hunters who hadn't even noticed his arrival, considering he arrived before Moriya began showcasing his new powers.
The sky soared. Moriya almost wet his pants in fear.
What happened to him in Onigashima because of Rob was still fresh in his mind. He almost started laughing like a maniac, expecting Rob to let him go again this time.
The boss has arrived. All right, our role is done here.
The leader will take all the credit again. Well, that's acceptable.
He is the emperor after all.
Wonderful, I haven't finished the last chapter in the volume yet.
I'll go finish it. Goodbye. Seeing Rob's arrival, the hunters left the prison in all directions.
Most of them were not interested in Moriya's fate, it had nothing to do with them. The desire to smuggle a prisoner from the central prison amidst Hunter's Island was not a rescue mission but a well-thought-out suicidal operation, a folly.
You've perfectly imitated the Shadow Monarch's ability.
Although it's just an empty shell for now, it doesn't mean the shell can't be filled. The power of the Shadow Fruit is truly amazing.
Rob felt literal awe.
He never expected Moriya to develop his abilities in a way similar to Jinwoo. This made him reconsider how to punish this man. He turned out to be talented after all. No, he was a true fan of solo leveling. And that deserved praise.
Well, you can go back to your work.
Thank you for your hard work. I'll deal with him. Before saying that to the 6 legendary hunters who were still awaiting his orders, he restrained Moriya and Hogback's movements and cleared the shadows with a wave of his hand.
Well. Alvia and the others nodded and left afterward.
As for Kuzan and Borsellino, although he didn't expect them to escape so quickly, he didn't care. He would punish them later. Later, when Moriya and Hogback woke up, they found themselves sharing a cell with the Mad Golden Lion.
Chapter 612. Nobody can stop this anymore. The end of the arc. One Piece events. Port Gasti at Ace's public execution is just 6 days away.
Inside Boa Hancock's cabin on the warship heading towards Impel Down, Luffy, holding the charred portion of his brother's Vivre card, looked at it with concern and impatience. The shy Hancock occasionally stole glances towards him. Since Whitebeard destroyed all the patrol boats around him, tensions are running high at Marine headquarters. The scene returned to the Marine base, where a massive number of soldiers and their famous leaders were gathering. At the port in Marineford, more and more famous and powerful Marines arrive every day. Hina, Smoker, and Toshiji arrived, giants of the Navy, along with Admirals Akiji and Kizaru. All of the military force serving under the banner of justice have assembled at Marine headquarters. At the same time, in the Holy Land Marihoa, the Shichibukai who have already gathered are having their own powwow. 5 out of the 7 Shichibukai attended a feast with members of the Navy. Each one of them is a villain with considerable power. But one thing is absolutely clear. The very thought of these men fighting together is totally unthinkable.
Impel Down.
Returning to Garp, who is currently visiting Ace's cell.
You want me to kill you? You've gotten desperate, you idiot. Soon, it won't matter what we do.
Garp continued speaking in a heavy tone. Whitebeard won't stop now, even if you're dead.
Nobody can stop this anymore.
Ace listened to this and cried bitterly.
Garp gave a mocking laugh before saying, "We have angered
the King of the Seas.
On the Oro Jackson, which set sail again. Well, it's over."
Although this volume was somewhat short, it was full of shocking and impactful events.
Hee, my foolish child. The matter is no longer in your hands, whether you can influence it with your death or your life.
No one knew whom Roger was mocking at this moment, whether it was his son or himself. Newgate, after all, will remain Newgate, no matter how the ages and worlds change. He's just a reckless fool, with a muscular head. But seriously, he is strong indeed. He deserves the title of the King of the Seas after me. Garp has become so soft that he calls a pirate the King of the Seas.
I'm not used to this softness. Time truly is the eternal enemy of the strong.
That's true.
If the current Garp were here, he would ask them, "What war are you talking about? Go back to your business and leave the Whitebeard to me.
I'll deal with him alone, don't stand in the way." The Dark King smiled before saying. The clash between Garp and the Whitebeard on that day in the God Valley was still alive in his mind. Well, Garp sought to fight Roger, but Newgate thought he wanted to intervene in the battle between Rocks and Roger. And so, a destructive clash occurred between two iron fists.
Ace's condition tears at my heart more and more.
Rouge pressed her sorrow in her heart before closing this volume devoid of joyful scenes for her.
War. No one can stop it. Isn't that right? Little Shanks closed the manga book before quietly wondering. The author can stop it if he wants, wahaha.
I look forward to seeing Newgate's reaction.
Fusha Town.
People were already leaving the art store in groups. After all, most of them finished reading the new volume and enjoyed it. Members of the Revolutionary Army also finished reading the volume.
Will the war in the manga affect the real world, isn't that so? Dragon asked his father. Boahahaha.
Perhaps the loser will revolt in anger and challenge the winner to prove the opposite. Garp laughed, no longer caring about the Navy and the world government.
Is this really going to happen? Who knows?
If the Whitebeard loses unfairly, maybe he'll stick his sword in Akainu's butt.
Garp said mockingly.
Hearing that, the members of the Revolutionary Army trembled at the thought. Only Ivankov looked amused for some reason.
Why Sakazuki? Dragon was interested in the answer.
Although he already had a near certain guess.
You know how arrogant, vile, and evil he is in dealing with pirates.
The war won't be without his despicable moves, that scoundrel. I expect him to grow up to be a terrifying admiral for pirates 2 decades from now.
Although Garp didn't like Akainu, he still acknowledged his danger implicitly. His actions may anger me too.
I don't want to see Ace suffer because of his cunning tricks. Maybe at that time, it won't be the Whitebeard who will attack Marineford in a fit of anger alone.
I may be with him. Well, maybe Sengoku hasn't realized yet that I've already joined the ranks of your weak army. Try to keep this a secret for as long as possible. But old man, they're already seen you with us. Dragon said in a low tone.
Who are they? Garp asked before following his son's gaze to find a few men in black suits. They were from Cipher Pole. On board the Moby Dick, which stopped at Wano Port.
What do you think of this war, Shiraki-chan? After hearing Odin's question, a disturbed expression appeared on Whitebeard's face. He's annoyed, Odin said internally after seeing the expression on his older brother's face. The same thought was in Marco and the others' minds. Whitebeard's expression returned to normal before he sighed and said, "Really, this war can't be stopped now.
They took my son, imprisoned him, and tortured him.
How can I remain silent about this? What awaits them later is facing my wrath.
When I, Whitebeard, get angry, the sky and the sea can't bear my anger, not to mention a few thousand Marines.
Sengoku and Garp combined won't deter me. Even if I become an old, sick man. Well, what do you think of the outcome of the war?
I will destroy Marineford in any case, and whoever survives should think about building a new Navy headquarters."
That's the old man. Ho-hoo. Jozu and the others cheered loudly after hearing that.
What they understood from their father's words was that he was confident of completely destroying them.
Chapter 613, Rob's impression of chapters 1096 and 1097 of One Piece. Part 1.
After stopping Moria and throwing him into prison to accompany the Golden Lion Shiki, Rob moved to the Sabaody archipelago, the closest place to Fishman Island and where the skyport is also located. Of course, Rob wasn't planning to use the skyport to travel to Fishman Island. He owned the art stores that allowed him to travel through them.
Rob entered the art store in the archipelago.
At that moment, the art store was almost empty of customers, the manga day had already ended, and everyone was eagerly awaiting the next volume. Well, they'll have to wait for another month to read the next wonderful volume, Impel Down Arc. Rob smiled as he thought internally. He couldn't wait to draw that amazing arc, he was itching to draw it as quickly as possible to move on to the best and greatest arc ever, the Marineford arc. We're 2 months away from that event, then they'll have to wait a very long time until One Piece returns, but no one will expect the amazing surprises it has prepared. Rob smiled as he contemplated. He sat in his office chair in the personal section and took out a popular magazine, the new chapter of One Piece. No, it's only chapter 1096. There's still one more chapter after this. This meant that Rob had read the previous chapters in the past few weeks. The Buccaneer clan, a special hybrid race between humans and giants. This clan fell into being slaves to the celestial dragons, perhaps because they openly supported the sun god? Rob still had impressions of Kuma's father, Clap, who, despite his severe suffering, still had a smile on his face and danced in the style of Nika. This means his belief in the sun god is genuine and ingrained in his bones and genes. Sigh, Kuma didn't tell me any of this. He only told me that he was a slave in the past. Is the plot in this world different from the original, or did I just not know? Rob sighed, realizing the limitations of an incomplete future memory at that moment. The celestial dragons deserve to die, truly. I already know about their inhumane hunting habits. The last hunting occasion before my appearance in this world was a year ago. That poor kingdom suffered total destruction. But after my appearance, the world government stopped its activities beyond the borders in the outer world, fearing that they would take advantage of the opportunity to trap them. They cancelled the scheduled hunting last year, or rather, they postponed it. I want to know how Kuma became the ruler of the Sorbet Kingdom and what happened to the previous tyrant king. Since the current manga flashback summarizes Kuma's past, I think I'll know everything. God Valley, at that time, we attacked the Rocks pirates in that place after obtaining intentionally leaked information. I was in the back lines and remained on the coast to prevent any remnants of the Rocks pirates from escaping. At that time, I saw from the side how the Captain Roger and the Marine hero Garp fought together against the captain of that monster group. I also saw the collective escape of the celestial dragons and the disappearance of hundreds of claw-like marks resembling cat paws in all directions. After summarizing the points he had seen earlier and what he wanted to see, Rob opened the new chapter. The beginning of despair, huh? The celestial dragons truly. I thought of a similar way to eliminate them. Rob's eyes gleamed with evil as he witnessed the faces of the slaves and the indigenous people of God Valley filled with despair during the collective escape in all directions. Rob's hatred towards the celestial dragons only increased over time. He stared intently at each of their faces, wanting to etch them into his memory. God Knights. Well, you will be rare prey in the special hunting event I will definitely organize someday. This idea had already taken root in Rob's mind, meaning the fate of the celestial dragons had already been determined. Seeing these scenes, children, women, and even the elderly weak and desperate in the face of the smiles of the world nobles made Rob's hatred take the form of a devil behind him. He was angry, very angry. He hadn't been this angry in a very long time. He didn't expect the tyranny of the celestial dragons to have reached such a horrifying extent. Rob forcibly suppressed his anger and controlled his nerves. He scoffed when he saw Garp's scene. That damn Garp, he only moves when it's related to Roger, right? Doesn't he know what the celestial dragon bastards are doing to the innocent people in God Valley? Now Rob was sure that the entire marine was just a weapon in the hands of the world government. They wouldn't move unless authorized by them. Even if Garp was extremely powerful, he was, in a certain sense, under the control of the government and the celestial dragons. So, Ivankov and Kuma met like this? Even though he doesn't have the standards of a real man, he is a true human who refused to be a slave and refused to see other slaves suffer. Rob watched the flashback of Kuma, who was once associated with Ivankov and his former crew, and the Rocks pirates with complex emotions. Do they want to kill 100,000 people? Isn't that something beyond atrocities? Regarding the location of God Valley in the West Blue, he had known about it for a long time. He had been there before, on the same day as this tragedy. The former Rob was present, but he didn't know what was really happening at the core.
The manga has become bloodier.
Rob noticed how a celestial dragon beheaded a human prey and another celestial dragon exploded the head of another prey with bullets.
He could only grit his teeth and continue reading the manga.
Even a live broadcast is transmitting what is happening in God Valley to Mangaka. These fuckers are really enjoying their time.
Ginny? Could she be Bonnie's mother?
She's really smart. She leaked the information we received at that time.
Is she the direct cause of the famous God Valley incident?
Just a little child.
Rob's eyes widened in shock when he learned the truth.
The kid Kuma chose to be a willing taste because he doesn't want anyone to die in front of him. The death of his father deeply affected him, so he obtained the Nikyu fruit in this operation, huh?
Amazing, everything is interconnected. Newgate. Shiki. Stussy. Lin. Kaido. Gloriosa. Ha! Gloriosa.
Rob fell into a moment of astonishment. His mind stopped thinking for a moment. He didn't care about Whitebeard, Kaido, Shiki, or even Stussy and Lin, who were his women too, at this moment. After all, he already knew that they were part of the Rock's pirates in the past.
But he never expected to see this woman here. No, it's impossible. Gloriosa didn't tell me that she was part of the Rock's pirates.
I know that Shaki is part of the Rock's pirates.
In other words, Shaki was there that day with Whitebeard and the others, not Gloriosa. What's happening here?
Rob was sure of the integrity of his memories. The first met between Rayleigh and Shaki during the God Valley War, and their relationship deepened later when the Rock's pirates crew was destroyed on that specific day.
He didn't see any sign of Gloriosa's presence in his memories.
As Gloriosa had told him in the past, she went to sea at some point in her life but didn't join any pirate crew. Moreover, the first man she fell in love with was Rob himself.
But what appeared in the manga is completely different from what is happening in this world. Could it be that this world is different from the original world, even before I arrived here?
Now Rob only realized the important fact he had overlooked earlier. In this world where he existed, and the original One Piece world, there were some differences. After 5 years of being here, he had just discovered the first difference.
Chapter 614. Rob's impression of the recent chapters of One Piece. Part 2.
After pondering extensively on this complex matter, Rob sighed slightly before lighting a cigarette to clear his mind.
Why hasn't Rocks appeared yet? Is Oda unwilling to reveal the events of that entire day through Kuma's flashback?
Rob looked at the unmistakable faces of Newgate, Shiki, Kaido, and John, as well as Lin, Stussy, and 2 others, then focused his gaze on Gloriosa. She was his wife. Her beautiful face still retained the same features, enhanced only after he gave her the dose containing his diluted blood.
Finally, Roger's pirates appeared.
Ha, I remember the captain at that time had no mustache. Ha, the captain, Rayleigh, and Gaban are as lively as ever.
This too devil fruous.
Seeing how Lin managed to stop Ivankov from consuming the blue dragon fruit with just a hair's breadth, Rob felt shocked. The image of Kaido intertwined with Ivankov to form an extremely disgusting picture in his mind.
Fortunately. Or everything would be different if that happened.
It made perfect sense to Rob that Kuma would take his devil fruit in such a scenario and in such a way. The illogical thing is why Saturn didn't kill him.
Is it because he saw him as a mere child who couldn't threaten or do anything?
Or has he started thinking about how to use and benefit from him from that moment?
After all, Saturn is the warrior god of science and defense.
Seeing Saturn's dark expression when Kuma mentioned wanting to save people in Nikka's way made Rob more interested. I really want to see how the first Joy Boy was a thorn in your side that couldn't be plucked out. I know about it, but I don't know how. The manga is the only way for me to know, even though I'm part of the clan of Knowledge Light.
As expected, this bastard Morgans was very active long ago.
I need to be more cautious of him. Seeing how Morgans helped the world government cover up the true events in the God Valley made Rob more wary of him.
Sigh.
Seeing two children crying at the end of the chapter made his heart tremble. He always had a soft spot for children. They have tasted the flavor of relief and hope. After being submerged in the swamp of despair, their tears are completely understandable. Rob could only sigh and shake his head repeatedly while smoking. He really wanted to tear apart a celestial dragon or two for a little relief instead of smoking a cigarette. He had already forgotten that it had been only one day since he killed another celestial dragon because he had plans to enslave Hancock. After finishing Chapter 1096 events, Rob immediately moved on to Chapter 1097. After the God Valley incident by 8 years, which means 28 years before Luffy set sail for the first time, that's just 3 years before my arrival in this world. This means that just after 3 years, the story plot will be affected by my arrival, and similar changes will occur. But strange, where is Ginny in all of this? Why haven't I seen or heard about her? No, could Ginny be Bonnie herself? Rob fell into a whirlwind of thoughts, unable to confirm anything. He had a mysterious explanation because he knew that this world was different from the original story even before his arrival. Maybe Ginny doesn't exist in this world originally. Rob stopped his complicated thoughts about it and gently looked at how kind the young Kuma was with a smile. Seeing how this young priest willingly took on the pains and illnesses of the elderly made him deeply appreciate Kuma. Having such a kind-hearted person in the world made Rob sigh for the fate of such a good man. I will make sure to give you a good life that you deserve, and I will find out the reason behind the disappearance of this smile in this world. Because after all, the current Kuma was cold and dark with overwhelming sadness. Only Bonnie made him feel better. Another time skip. 25 years ago, this means 23 years before Luffy set sail. This means just 1 year after my arrival. Kuma hasn't married Ginny yet, Strange, when will Bonnie be born then? Seeing how Kuma's fear of making Ginny suffer the same fate as his mother just by marrying her made Rob more understanding of the current plot's development. But they clearly love each other, sigh. Oh. Dragon finally appeared. So this is where the name Freedom Army comes from? Rob was familiar with the name Freedom Army because it was the first name of the Revolutionary Army after Dragon left the Navy, saved Crocodile, and met Ivankov to organize the small army under the name Freedom Army. That's what happened in this world. But apparently, the development in the original story was very similar. N/B. I'm already doing well in predicting Oda's deceptive moves. May God grant me patience. Well, to remind you, my friends, I successfully predicted the name Freedom Army before. Just as I predicted the existence of the so-called Holy Knights before their appearance in the story. Seeing how Dragon and the Revolutionary Army influenced Kuma, Rob connected the dots with the true Tyrant King of the Sorbet Kingdom, Lycori, and how the Revolutionary Army did things. Rob quickly concluded that Dragon would overthrow the Tyrant King's rule. Ha ha! This king is interesting. Seeing the new king's policy of dividing the country, Rob felt that having such a foolish king was not new in the world of pirates. I'd never seen a king in my life who divides his own country. These fools are members of Bonnie's crew? Seeing two other familiar faces made Rob puzzled again. As expected, the new king's policy has increased the chances of being targeted by Dragon. Oh. It seems the Revolutionary Army in the original story is more promising than the current Revolutionary Army. No, Garp joining as a guardian to the current Revolutionary Army can't be compared fundamentally. Seeing how Dragon desires to have a massive army spread across the world reminded Rob of Dragon's similar ambition in this world. A short period in the Marine, you say? Ha, a short period enough for you to make Sakazuki, the arrogant one, more humble in front of you. Rob understood better what Dragon meant by the short period he spent in the Navy. Before 14 years ago? Is Ginny here too? Did something I did lead to this woman's disappearance from the world? Let me speculate. Bonnie must have already been born by now, correct? Rob fell into a bout of thinking, becoming more confused over time. So she became the leader of the Eastern Army, in the East Blue, right? What, she was kidnapped? How did this happen, and who's that unexpected enemy? Rob became more interested in knowing the details in the next chapter. Chapter 615, Naruto Shippuden Episode 40. In the vibrant country of Wano, a particularly noteworthy occurrence took place, captivating the attention of many. The focal point of this momentous event was none other than a distinctive episode of the widely acclaimed Naruto anime series, specifically episodes 40 and 41 of Naruto Shippuden.
Engrossed in the unfolding narrative, Reizo and Kinemon were fervently immersed in the anime show, setting aside any concerns related to their daily tasks.
Amidst the animated drama, the enemy in this arc, Orochimaru, retained his characteristic provocativeness, prompting lively commentary from the onlookers.
Orochimaru is still as provocative as ever.
The episode has just commenced, remarked Reizo. I can't quite put my finger on it, but Kabuto seems even more vexing, added Kinemon, revealing a shared sentiment.
As the anime characters grappled with their own challenges, Reizo and Kinemon, oblivious to the world around them, reveled in the animated show.
Unbeknownst to them, their master, Odin, quietly joined in on the viewing experience.
Discussing the intricacies of the plot, Odin, hasn't Naruto given up hope of bringing Sasuke back? It's becoming rather bothersome.
Yes, that's what I appreciate about Naruto, he never gives up, huh? Suddenly, the familiar voice of their master interjected, catching them off guard.
Reizo and Kinemon, wide-eyed with realization, turned their attention to their master. It's not like Sasuke is his girlfriend or something, right? Odin added.
The episode continued, drawing exclamations from Odin.
Oh!
Orochimaru was dealt a powerful blow by Naruto, who activated the Kyuubi mode, all for that troublesome Sasuke.
This is really annoying. Impel down. Naruto possesses such a terrifying power. So, is that the essence of being a Jinchuriki?
This is truly astonishing. Magellan and Shiryu, two high-ranking officials in the prison, exchanged astonished glances as they observed the awe-inspiring display of Naruto's formidable power. The live broadcast from Maragoa had captured their undivided attention, showcasing the intensity of the moment. The entire atmosphere within the prison was charged with adrenaline as guards and officials alike were gripped by the unfolding events on the screen. The anime episode had a profound impact on them, and they found themselves immersed in the sheer spectacle of Naruto's prowess.
The sight of the angry Naruto, surrounded by the volatile chakra of the ignorant Kyuubi, left an indelible impression on everyone present.
It became apparent that Naruto harbored an immense reservoir of power within his body, surpassing even the capabilities of most devil fruits known to exist. It was a force that transcended ordinary boundaries.
Inside Naruto was a real devil. This is the might of the nine-tailed fox.
In a specific cell on the first level of the prison, an almost 14-year-old girl was confined, Katarina Devon, who found herself impelled down due to certain circumstances. If only I could wield such power. I wouldn't have fallen into the clutches of these scums.
Katarina Devon was fortunate enough to witness the spectacle purely due to luck.
The cell she occupied happened to be directly across from the broadcasting device, making her one of the fortunate few. Deep down, Katarina Devon harbored envy toward Naruto for the power he possessed. She too possessed the mythical devil fruit, the nine-tailed fox.
However, unlike Naruto, her nine-tailed fox was lifeless. Ohara.
As the Kyuubi ensnared Naruto in its grasp, the chakras surrounding him turned black, coalescing into a dark sphere that Orochimaru observed intently. The searing of Naruto's skin and the flow of his blood sent shivers down the spines of those watching in Ohara. Sometimes the cost of acquiring power is so exorbitant that it becomes almost unattainable, calmly remarked Doflamingo as he observed the episode through the window of his house, the scenes projected across the entire island. Just like me, I rushed too much after eating that speed fruit, hastily replied Rosinante.
Do you consider this a steep price, like peeling off your flesh and melting your blood? Fufu mocked Doflamingo.
What amused me most in this episode was Sai's indifference to Sakura when she was plummeting to her demise.
His reaction is intriguing. Why doesn't she just die, and we'd be done with her? With only 4 tails, he has transformed into such a horrifying monstrosity. What about the 5th tail and beyond?
We all know that the Kyuubi is the most potent among the tailed beasts, meaning his 4-tailed state surpasses that of another tailed beast.
That does make sense. So, what do you think Orochimaru's fate will be after this battle?
He'll emerge unscathed even if he faces the Kyuubi himself, not to mention the four-tailed Naruto.
He truly is a resilient worm, much like me. Oh, I forgot that I'm already dead, yo-ho-ho-ho.
A group of old comrades, including Brook, Vegapunk, and Culver, reveled in the events of the sadly concluded episode.
Vegapunk. I need to talk to you.
At this moment, Rob arrived and summoned Vegapunk.
Vegapunk was surprised but didn't refuse. Well, what do you want to talk about?
After the two found a secluded spot, Vegapunk inquired.
I'll ask you questions about Bartholomew Kuma, and you'll answer me honestly based on your knowledge.
By now, Rob had finished reading all the new chapters. Surprised by the appearance of a new chapter in his system shop, titled The Birth of Bonnie, Rob remained composed when learning that Bonnie was not Kuma's biological daughter but the offspring of a celestial dragon who had used her mother as a sex slave.
Vegapunk, upon hearing Kuma's name, nodded in acknowledgement. Well, what do you know about Bartholomew Kuma? This marked Rob's first question.
He's a buccaneer, Vegapunk replied.
Chapter 616, Summit War Saga, Impel Down Arc. Part 1.
The time progressed gradually, without them realizing it had already been a month since the last volume of One Piece was released.
Last month was truly eventful.
Hey, regarding that slime manga, it's interesting how Rimura managed to create his own country of monsters. No one expected this development in the plot.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how his kingdom evolves.
What I liked the most was how Jinwoo disguised himself in the mining team at the Hunters Guild dungeon.
Ha. That was fun, man.
If it weren't for Jinwoo, their second team of A and B rank hunters would have died at the hands of the High Orcs. And the new shadow soldiers from the High Orcs, they are really terrifying creatures. I felt the same fear as A rank hunters when I saw them.
Especially the High Orcs boss, the wizard boss.
Seriously, if it weren't for Jinwoo, they would have been wiped out easily.
Ha.
Chahayan's embarrassing situation, carrying the axe, cracked me up a lot.
She looked even more beautiful feeling embarrassed. Wonder what's her story with the foul smell. Heightened senses can be a problem sometimes.
Everywhere, you could hear such common discussions about mangas, manhwas, and even the anime episodes released in this month.
Each show had its dedicated fans.
Even if a show had already ended, like Bleach manga and Akane ga Kill anime, and also Hunter x Hunter anime, whose fans still hoped for a second part. Well, Rob himself still hoped for that.
The author and readers too.
For example, fans of Attack on Titan and Naruto Shippuden had a feast of enjoyable and thrilling episodes, especially Aoi, which returned from a month-long hiatus. The first episode of Season 4 and the last one caused a massive buzz worldwide.
Everyone is still shocked until now. N/B, with Aoi finally reaching Season 4, I'll focus a lot on its different parts in the upcoming chapters after this arc. Ohara. Finally, the Impel Down arc is here.
A faint smile appeared on Rob's face as he recalled the moments he enjoyed drawing so much in the last 2 days. Especially the scenes with Buggy and Mr. 3, all of them are funny without exception. Rob wished that the funny scenes would help lighten the somber mood of the arc, at least a little.
Sigh.
I feel sorry for Rouge and Roger, whose hope will rise to save Ace only to evaporate in the end.
What are you thinking, dear? You seem upset.
At that moment, Alvia, who was wearing only underwear, spoke with a warm and enticing voice. I'm thinking whether I should kill Akainu now or wait until the end of the war arc, Rob said without thinking, surprising Alvia.
Ha.
Just kidding. Well, anyway, by that time at least 3 living legends will want to kill him.
Why? Alvia asked curiously. Don't tell me that Odaki's theory about the death.
Before Alvia could finish her words, Rob interrupted her. It's time to work, my dear. I'll go release the new volume, join me with the girls at the store. Saying that, Rob disappeared from the bed like a flash, appearing outside the art store. It was already 7 in the morning, 2 hours left for the release of the new chapters. He escaped as usual. Alvia sighed as this time Rob refused to give her an early copy to read, as he used to do.
Sigh. I feel like the ending won't be good, she cited. Marine Ford. You fools, stop what you're doing.
In the military port, Zephyr's loud voice echoed, disturbing all the recruits who were cleaning the ships or removing the sails.
It's Admiral Zifusama. Admiral. The recruits stopped what they were doing instinctively. Clear the way for the transport ship immediately.
The transport ship had arrived some time ago, but it couldn't find a place to dock in the crowded port full of warships, so Zephyr had to come personally to ensure the transport ship wouldn't be damaged.
Understood, Admiral.
After all, the transport ship carried an uncountable number of copies from the new Ark.
Impel down Ark. Garp.
Seeing Garp again at the beginning of the manga chapters caused veins to appear on Sengoku's forehead. He wouldn't forget how Garp betrayed them and joined the Revolutionary Army. After calming himself, Sengoku carefully noticed the contents of Garp's words.
Chapter 525, The Sea Floor Prison Impel Down. I would have preferred for you and Luffy to have become great Marines.
But you did the opposite and turned into rogues. Garp hadn't left yet, still talking to Ace with a heavy heart.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
I told Luffy about his father. He was surprised that his father was even around.
Garp continued mockingly.
Hearing that, Ace replied, that stuff doesn't matter.
One way or another.
Luffy and I, we both have the blood of an infamous criminal running through our veins. There's no way we would have become Marines. Ace was convinced of his words, so he continued saying, but I took the name Portgas to show my gratitude to my mother. My good-for-nothing father never gave me anything aside from half my blood. I don't have any memories of him, and I don't owe him a thing. It seemed like Ace really hated his biological father. Well, be that as it may, he is who he is. Garp wanted to speak, but Ace cut him off.
So, old man.
At that moment, Ace remembered the day he tried to kill Whitebeard but failed no matter how hard he tried.
You look like you're about to die, kid. Whitebeard extended his hand to him, saying, why don't you take on my name and run wild? Become my son.
The only father I have is Whitebeard.
Ace seemed to acknowledge only Whitebeard as his father. He's always wanted Luffy and Ace to become Marines? Is that his dream in the manga?
Surprised, Sengoku, but that didn't diminish the hatred in his heart.
This kid? Why does he deny his origins as the son of the Pirate King and not cherish them? Isn't he also a pirate? When Whitebeard offered you his name and told you to run wild, did you accept it obediently? Isn't this just a child lacking the affection of his parents who found someone willing to accept him? Well, from that perspective, Newgate has many and varied weaknesses.
Humph. And those weaknesses will be the reason for his downfall in this war.
Sakazuki said in the end with a mocking tone.
His hatred for pirates surpassed all logic, whether they were evil or good, all were equal in his eyes.
Chapter 617, Summit War Saga, Impel Down Arc, Part 2.
Gentle winds blew, neither strong nor weak, but they rustled the man's cloak and the woman's hair only, on a slightly elevated grassy hill overlooking the sea. They gazed at a majestic pirate ship, its crew spreading out across the island's surface.
He doesn't mean that from the depths of his heart, does he?
The woman seemed to ask the man beside her, but she was actually trying to tell him that the boy in the manga didn't mean what he was saying.
It's okay, Rouge.
The kid suffered a lot without his parents. It's not strange for him to have such thoughts. Roger replied with a warm smile on his face. He tried to maintain a calm facade in front of his wife so she wouldn't sense his sorrow in that moment.
After all, who wants to hear such harsh denial from their own son? Even if it's he who's being denied, or his counterpart in the manga, who's already dead.
He still represented his counterpart in the manga, and eagerly anticipated Ace's birth in this world to be an ideal father.
Damn you, Newgate. He's a pro at stealing others' children. Our son isn't spared from him. Well, go and adopt everyone, you bastard. PFT. Rouge chuckled gently after seeing her husband's comedic reaction. Wahahaha.
Seeing her beautiful laughter, Roger couldn't help but burst into laughter himself.
It seems Gaban and the others are feeling angry after seeing Newgate's deed. Listen to their angry curses.
My dear, don't get angry at Ace in the manga, he's miserably wretched to the point that Roger put 2 fingers on Rouge's lips, stopping her from talking.
How can I feel anger? I don't deserve that.
He deserves to be angry, to hate me, to rebel against me. After all, I wasn't a father to him, not even for a day.
Look at what he said to Garp here.
I didn't give him anything except half of his blood.
I didn't leave him a single memory.
He grew up hearing people curse me as the king of pirates, no, the king of demons who was eventually executed, and the world was relieved of his tyranny. No, the world didn't really get relieved. With a few words from him before his death, he caused a frenzy among pirates worldwide, giving birth to hundreds of thousands of new pirates, meaning he caused an entire era of grief for ordinary people.
How can he not hate me when he grew up hearing that the name Gold Roger equals the devil?
Roger spoke non-stop, but when he stopped, he sighed, and a small tear couldn't be stopped from falling from his eye.
He's my son. Yes, he's your son.
Rouge embraced him, silently wiping away her tears.
Wayno country. It seems Roger won't sleep tonight. Garararara. It's sad to hear your biological son say such things. You too, Odin?
Well, it is indeed sad, but he should be grateful because I raised his son as my own. He must know how much I love my sons.
Whitebeard continued to drink his own beer while chatting with Odin.
But I heard you sent your biological son to Rob. Whitebeard's forehead trembled upon hearing that, feeling like he swallowed a mosquito.
I sent him for treatment only. Chapter 525 Events. Vice Admiral Mangaka.
We've spotted a pirate ship at 10 o'clock. On board the warship carrying Luffy and Hancock towards Impel Down, the Marines noticed a specific pirate ship. The pirate flag belonged to Buggy the Clown.
Whose ship is it? Mangaka inquired.
I feel like I've seen that flag before. I'll look it up right away, replied a Marine using binoculars.
Leave them. We're on a tight schedule, Mangaka ordered without hesitation.
The most important thing for him was escorting Hancock to Marineford on time, and he didn't want any additional delays disrupting his plans. After the ship stopped in front of the massive Gate of Justice, Mangaka spoke with the officials at this departure point. This is Mangaka, Marine Code G100660.
We will soon enter the current. Prepare to open the gate.
The Marine ship that Luffy and Hancock are on is approaching the tricurrent reserved for Marine use, tying together the government's 3 central points. In the background, there was a schematic diagram illustrating the current location of the ship and the 3 central points of the government: Enies Lobby, Marineford, and Impel Down.
It's good to follow orders, but why ignore the pirates, Mangaka? Sakazuki's tone made Mangaka flinch. It's not like remnants of Buggy and Alvida can do anything, right? Kuzan eased the intensity of the argument. Had that clown got caught too? When?
Borsellino felt curious.
Well, this is Mangaka, and that's a completely different counterpart. Don't mix manga with reality, Sakazuki, Sengoku said calmly. But the manga is always right.
You'll see that in the Summit War. I'll make sure the manga highlights my strength and dominance against those cursed pirates.
Sorbet Kingdom. You're doing it again? Dragon said without any change in his expression.
Before him stood Kuma in his clergy attire, extracting the pains and illnesses of the weak old men and old women in the village where Kuma's church was located, away from his royal palace.
I've gotten used to it already. You really don't need to do this, Komachi. Your kindness alone is enough for my healing.
Please, return to us that gentle smile. Seeing you smile is the greatest medicine for us.
You're not Ginny to make him smile. When the elderly mentioned Ginny's name, Kuma's expression stiffened before becoming sadder. Aren't you ready to talk to Rob about her yet?
I'm sure he can help you seek revenge at least.
Who do you want revenge on? This old man will do it for you.
Garp arrived at that moment.
Chapter 618, Akainu's Extremist Justice. When was I captured and thrown into Impel Down? How can you abandon me just because a wench like Alvita said that saving me is impossible? Ah! Is this the crew relied upon by the future pirate king, Buggy-sama? At this moment, Buggy was in a state of shock and anger because of his future crew members who abandoned him. Ha ha ha! What an interesting crew you'll have in the future, Buggy. Shanks laughed. Shut up, you fucker. Well, you should consider logic a bit. It's impossible for them to cross the Sea King's nest to reach Impel Down. In that regard, Alvita is right. Shanks said. Even if they somehow manage to reach Impel Down, they'll just be a new batch of prisoners. With their weak strength, they won't even be able to pass through the front gate, let alone save you. It's not like you have an emperor crew like mine, hee hee. Stop boasting, you bastard. Someday I'll have my own emperor crew. You won't even be able to defeat my first mate. Buggy shouted angrily. BFT. Wahahaha. Upon hearing that, Roger's crew burst into laughter, including Gabon and Rayleigh. It seems like they didn't take Buggy's jokes seriously at all. Because of that, the gloomy atmosphere from Ace's previous words was lightened, and the rest of the crew went back to reading chapters with smiles on their faces. Anything related to you appearing means fun and hearty laughter. You truly play the role of the perfect evil clown in the manga, Buggy. Rayleigh said to Buggy with a smile. I want to know how I ended up in Impel Down. Luffy is going there, which means we'll meet again there. The chance to get revenge on that rubber brat is here. Or maybe, I got it. I allowed them to capture me on purpose so I could save Ace. What a genius move. I, the great clown Buggy, will be the one to save the captain's son and force him to accept his father's true name. Upon hearing that, Roger, who was sitting with his wife at a distance, smiled. Maybe Buggy's appearance in this arc will bring us some surprises, he said. Chapter 525 Events. The world's greatest prison, the sea floor prison, Impel Down. In the background, a giant building appeared, most of its structure built underwater. The great Sea Kings surrounded it from every side. The design of this prison was truly miraculous. After all, everything was designed to be like hell on earth, visible from the faces of the miserable prisoners who were subjected to all kinds of torture. Boo-ha! Oh! Ah! Ha! Ha! Cough! Gia! Ah! Please! Just kill me! Ah! It has been 4.5 days since the ship departed from Amazon Lily. In the background, a massive justice gate opened, allowing the warship to enter. Vice Admiral Mangaka. We've arrived at Impel Down. We were slowed a bit by headwinds, but... Mangaka interrupted the soldier, saying, no matter. Let's hurry. Get Hancock out here. Yes, sir. What the heck is this? Luffy, who was observing the situation from Hancock's room window, was shocked. This is the most dangerous place in the world right now. Of course, they'd come out in battle formation, Hancock answered honestly. There are even more battleships than the Buster Call had. So this is where Ace is. Luffy was sweating without consciousness, but this did not diminish his determination to save Ace. He's probably far beneath the surface. Now quickly, into my clothes, Hancock said. Buggy the Clown. He disappeared from his cell. Does he have a devil fruit power? At this moment, a high-ranking official in the prison received information about Buggy escaping from his cell. Vice Chief. Vice Admiral Mangaka and the Shichibukai, Lady Hancock, have arrived. The prison guard reported. Got it, I'll be right there. Wah, Whiteheart S. She's so pretty. Come on, open the gate, Whiteheart. Open it up, Whiteheart. Open it up, Whiteheart. At the moment Hancock appeared, the prison guards lost their composure and acted like Sanji in love. Here we go. Luffy. Hancock whispered silently before entering the prison. 33 hours remain until Ace's public execution. The narrator continued preparations for the war drums. Holy Land, Marigoa. Seriously, is this guy Mangaka an idiot? Don't tell me he really didn't sense anything wrong? No, why would Sengoku accept the Shichibukai's request to meet the key to the war in such a critical moment?
Even if she doesn't participate in the war as an ally, it's not important.
What will another Shichibukai add to a war at this level? This doesn't bode well. All the secrets of Impel Down will be exposed. Isn't that good?
All this time, they only heard terrifying stories about it. Today, they will see how truly terrifying it is in detail.
This will help us regain the currently shaky government authority.
Yes, people in pirates' fear of being sent to Impel Down will make them fear us even more and revere us instinctively. This will help us stabilize the situation indeed. At this moment, the 5 elders were more enthusiastic about the discussion than ever before. At that time, the main reason for destroying Ini's lobby was because it was secretly necessary to destroy it after its exposure, but this time, the situation would not be strict and would not require an immediate reaction like that. This time, even if all the secrets of Impel Down are revealed, in such a cold war against Rob's organization, it might be a good thing to expose them to regain the land and the position, even if only a little. Hancock will participate in the war as a reliable helper for her beloved, Fufu. I look forward to seeing how she will play behind the scenes. At that moment, the 5 elders heard a resonant and enchanting voice that made them instinctively stiffen.
Lord Emu is enjoying. That was their common thought. Marine Ford.
What the heck is this? He really made it to Impel Down.
What nonsense! Sengoku's angry voice echoed, not expecting Luffy to successfully enter the prison gates. Ace is still there.
Sengoku trembled with fear at the mere thought that the person entering the prison was the troublemaker and miracle worker.
It was that straw hat Luffy. No matter how weak he was more terrifying because he would win in a way that made you feel despair. How did he do it? That will be your question when everything is over. The cursed plot armor. Is this what the destiny of this world wants? The Whitebeard and Ace will die even if Rob himself is alive and kicking in the manga.
Even if Roger comes back to life in the manga, he won't save them, humph.
Akaino sneered as he said that.
His sense of extreme justice was at the beginning of its peak, so he fully believed that justice would take its course in this war. After all, the winner would decide what true justice is. From a certain perspective, he was absolutely right.
Chapter 619, Impel Down. Chapter 526, Adventure in the Great Prison. The Great Prison Impel Down, the Calm Belt. Please be cautious. Lady Hancock Whiteheart, have a safe trip. Silence.
At this moment, Mangaka shouted at his soldiers to be silent.
Don't be like that.
Take care, Whiteheart. Ignoring the cries of the guards captured by Hancock's beauty, Mangaka spoke.
The atmosphere is incredibly heavy. I wonder if hell is like this.
Hearing that, Luffy was lost in thought. After a short while, they encountered the right person who greeted them, wearing only pants with the Impel Down logo consisting of the letter I penetrating the letter M vertically, surrounded by a circle with a crown on top and 2 open wings in the middle of the letters.
Welcome to Impel Down. Great Prison Impel Down. Vice Warden Hannibal, ambitious.
Hannibal was very tall, 3 meters in height, resembling a devil disguised as a pharaoh. It was clear that he was a member of the Moria's race, who resembled demons more than they did humans.
Excuse me, my is a bit of an exaggeration. I am the Vice Warden, Hannibal. Nice to meet you. Hannibal shook hands with Mangaka. I'm Mangaka. I've heard about your situation. Is this the Empress, Lady Hancock? My Empress, Hancock? Excuse me. My ambitions are showing again.
It turned out that Hannibal was quite eccentric.
Impel Down. What's the matter with this fool? Hannibal will become your deputy? What a joke!
The faces of Magellan, Shiryu, and the rest of the prison officials trembled at this moment as they navigated through the events of the chapter. Only Hannibal, who was just an ordinary guard at the moment, couldn't control the expressions on his face, which formed a spontaneous smile.
Excuse me, sir. My counterpart in the manga is a bit enthusiastic. I didn't mean to describe you as the damned warden at all.
As soon as he finished saying that, Magellan gave him a deadly look. Get out of my way, you insolent, dash. As he shouted that, everyone heard the sound of his stomach wanting to empty as soon as possible.
Damn it!
Magellan rushed towards the nearest bathroom. Except for the just-happened comedic scene, everyone in Impel Down was excited to see themselves in the manga. After all, most of them were newly promoted young guards, meaning they were the future of the massive C-depth prison. The appearance of Hannibal as the vice warden was a prime example of that.
I wonder when I'll show up. Since this weakling became Magellan's deputy, what have I become? Wait. I am now the head jailer in the prison. Is Domino, by any chance, my deputy?
At that moment, Shiryu was deep in thought, especially after Hannibal introduced Domino as the vice-head jailer in the manga. Anyway, at the moment, the town of Impel Down was buzzing.
The current arc of One Piece would unfold here in Impel Down entirely.
Especially since the story's protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy, successfully infiltrated the main Impel Down building. The world as a whole was about to witness what this prison called Hell with 5 levels held. All its secrets would be revealed in this arc. That extra floor will surely be revealed. What will we do? After coming out of the bathroom, Magellan had to suppress his urge to relieve himself again and focus on the manga events unfolding at an unbelievably fast pace. He had just asked Shiryu.
Don't touch me with your dirty hand.
Humph. Shiryu snorted in disgust after successfully avoiding Magellan's hand that was close to falling on his shoulder.
Then, he regained his calm expression and said, "What do you think we can do after the 6th floor is revealed?"
"Nothing at all, we can only watch in silence. I wish I didn't see myself imprisoned there only.
Otherwise.
Otherwise what?" At that moment, it seemed like sparks were flying between these two heads.
Ohara. So, this is Impel Down from the inside? Interesting. It's said to be a real hell. Seeing a little of the suffering prisoners' taste here made me shudder. What's with that monster resembling a 2-legged bull and carrying a trident? How frightening. He's no more terrifying than throwing pirates into boiling water. Oh God, this is a real hell. Silence, this is nothing, just the 1st floor. What about the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th? Is this the fate of the captured pirates? Considering the crimes they've committed, this punishment is lenient.
The world government deserves praise in this aspect. They've created a real hell for the wrongdoers.
They deserve praise, my ass.
They are the biggest bastards in this world who deserve to be thrown into this prison. Each celestial dragon of them is a son of whores. Hearing that, a heated debate erupted between those who hated celestial dragons and those who hated pirates. Each had their own opinion, and such discussions were always debated on forums and in reality. It seemed like the people of the world had been liberated from many pressures and invisible tensions in this peaceful era where two poles coexisted at the same level rather than one dominating force. Fufu, finally, the world will see the difference between democracy and dictatorship.
What do you mean, big brother? Rosinante asked innocently as he didn't understand what his brother meant.
That's why the teacher always urges you to attend school lessons, which you skip with excuses that they are boring, you idiot.
Those lessons. Don't you also skip them? That's because I've had enough of the lessons and become aware of most of what is taught there, you little fool.
Enel remained silent as he also skipped school most of the time, the reason being that he found the tasks of the hunters more enjoyable than listening to endless lessons from teachers. We, as the powerful organization known as the Hunters Coalition, represent the democratic side. Even with the pirate prisoners, we are democratic enough. Our prison is not hell, it is a place for rehabilitation.
Entering it does not mean staying there forever.
There are judges who decide the duration the prisoner will remain imprisoned, and there are lawyers who have the right to defend the prisoner and request an appeal even after the judgment is issued, or simply stand against it. This is what democracy represents, beloved even by criminals who have recently begun to surrender obediently.
As for the dictatorial side, it represents the world government. You've seen enough of it, and you will see a lot in the aspects of this prison nicknamed Hell. Rosinante and Enel were not the only listeners.
There were others, including archaeologists represented by Clover, scientists represented by Vegapunk, musicians represented by Brooke, as well as giants represented by Saul, legendary hunters represented by Isho, and 3 others. All of them nodded internally in appreciation of the knowledge and comprehensiveness of this young man who was terrifying in the manga.
Chapter 620, Luffy and Buggy in Impel Down. Chapter 520 SAXS Events. Now, put on these Kairoseki handcuffs first.
Before starting the body inspection of Hancock, Domino took out Kairoseki handcuffs.
Please be gentle, Hancock said with an expression of innocence and a slight blush, causing Domino to be taken aback. Both Domino and the surveillance den Mushi froze in an instant. Pooah! That was close.
I was about to jump out and take my chances on not being seen. Luffy left his warm hiding place after making sure no one was watching him.
Luffy, it looks like this is as far as I can take you. I won't be able to use my powers from here on in.
And without my mantle, there's no place for you to hide.
I wanted to be of more help to you, but... Hancock looked somewhat sad. A big smile appeared on Luffy's face before he said, "What are you talking about? If I were on my own, I wouldn't even have gotten this far. You got me onto the warship and into the building. That's plenty. Luffy, this place is a fortress built to keep people in. Whatever you do, don't do anything that'll get you noticed."
Hancock began emphasizing what he should be cautious of, fearing for his safety.
If they catch you, you'll never get out again. You're strong, but don't run wild. Please promise me that.
Once she finished saying that, Luffy grabbed her hand and said with a smile, "All right, I got it."
It's a promise. Thanks for everything, Hancock.
I'll never forget this debt.
I'll definitely repay you one day. He called me. He called me Hancock.
After the shock, a great feeling of joy came to her heart, recalling Luffy's voice calling her "Hey, Hanmok," earlier. Now I can die, with no regrets.
This is mutual love. Hey! You can undo the petrification. I'll take care of the rest. Sorbet Kingdom. Boahahaha. What a lucky grandson. Winning the heart of such powerful beauty. As expected from a descendant of the monkey family.
The joyful sound of Garp echoed all around the village immediately after he held the new volume in his hand.
Of course, everyone knew that Garp was absolutely right. In a completely foolish manner, Luffy had won the love of Boa Hancock, the beloved of millions and the #1 beauty, as confessed by most manga readers in the latest monthly poll. As soon as she made her first appearance, Hancock surpassed all the female characters that had appeared so far, including Nami, Robin, Vivi, Hina, and others, to top the list of the most beautiful women in the manga rightfully and deservedly. Exactly as described in the manga as the beauty queen of the world, she truly deserved her title, at least until now. Humph. My manga counterpart is much more beautiful than her.
Bonnie, in her child form, puffed her cheeks gently and expressed her anger towards Garp.
After all, this was her true age. Everything she had shown before was fake ages to deceive people and fake her identity under the orders of her adoptive father. Now she no longer needed that since the organization her adoptive father joined was extremely powerful in the first place. Kuma could no longer deprive her of her childhood. Ginny's wish, after all, was to allow her to live a good life unlike her own. Boahaha. Is Bonnie-chan really angry? Don't worry, my grandson won't marry anyone but you.
Garp quickly moved his arms and embraced the mischievous child who allowed no one else to hug her except her father.
Leave me alone, you cheeky old man. I won't marry your stupid grandson, the man I'll marry is only Nika. Daddy! Daddy! Save me, she shouted. Boahahaha. Nika? Do you already have a man in mind, you mischievous child? Dragon and Kuma shook their heads helplessly at this scene, while Ivankov laughed heartily at Bonnie's predicament.
Crocodile wanted to save her, but he remembered the strength of the iron fist and hesitated instinctively. After a while, Garp put Bonnie down before gently patting her head.
As if my grandson would marry a mischievous girl like you.
Two gluttons can't meet, you'll end up eating each other in the end. Garp remembered what Kuma had told him about this child and her shocking background and could only sigh. After her mother gained freedom from the celestial dragons after a long struggle, she decided to sacrifice her life to free her daughter from the curse of the dangerous disease called the ruby scales. After all, it was her who transmitted the disease to her. At this moment, Garp really wanted to tear apart some celestial dragons to vent. He truly loved Bonnie. She was an incredibly cheerful child despite her foul mouth. Bonnie stuck out her tongue at Garp before running towards her father. They were currently in the vicinity of the Sun God Church, in the southern part of the kingdom, which had become the main headquarters of the Revolutionary Army and no longer suffered from any tyrannical royal rule, as happened in the past. This occurred after Kuma took control of the kingdom at the request of its inhabitants and killed the king.
Impel down, huh? I wonder what level of destruction and chaos awaits that place after Luffy arrives. Dragon wondered with a smiling expression, then eagerly turned to the next page. Ohara. This girl has completely fallen into deep love, Fufu. Laughed Shaki. My precious daughter. Cited Alvia.
Where is she now? Asked Otoheim. With Robin, Makino, Sonia, Mari, Scarlet, and some little dwarves from the Tontata tribe on Whole Cake Island for play. Alvia answered as she was the one who sent them there in the first place. That despicable Lin Lin is planning something. It's clear she's looking for a night with Rob as a reward for taking care of the children. Belmere sneered with disdain. Ha ha. You still feel the loss against her after all. Oh Bella, you're still too young to gain ground against Linlin. She's much more terrifying than you can imagine. At this moment, the young Stussy spoke with a tempting tone. Even though she was a copy of her original self, she still had the most knowledge about the threat of Charlotte Linlin. That woman, no, the monster, nothing could stop her from achieving her goals. We'll see then, who in the future will have the most fertile land. Belmere said cunningly. Now, the most important thing is to reduce the impact of the manga on reality according to the husband's will.
After readers finish enjoying their time, we'll have to conduct an awareness session, as the husband said, Alvia announced calmly while flipping through the pages. Shaken. Jaya ha ha ha, you think you can cut me? Idiots.
Buggy was being chased fiercely by the monstrous guards carrying sharp axes at this moment. He was split in half by one of them but quickly reattached himself and mocked them. That was before his eyes widened in shock, and his teeth jumped out of place when he saw Luffy. Dowa! Straw Hat! Why are you here? At this moment, Buggy and Luffy crossed paths again in Impel Down. Oh. It's just Buggy. Luffy didn't care and continued running. Don't screw around, you moron. You're as impudent as always. I never heard that you were caught too, exclaimed Buggy. I came in on my own, I wasn't caught, replied Luffy. What kind of idiot would go into a prison on his own? Ha! Could you have? You heard about how I was captured, and you came to help me. Buggy was so moved to the point of tears. But in the next moment, there's no way, you stupid bastard. There's something wrong here. What the hell are you talking about? Luffy's eyes widened when he realized his situation. I promised Hancock that I wouldn't draw attention to myself, but you came along and screwing it all up. Ha 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 ha. Wah ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Two fools have gathered again. Ha 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 ha. Even in such a dangerous situation, they still have the courage to engage in a serious verbal conflict. Buggy and Luffy in Impel Down. Ha ha ha. The era of this prison is over. Today, the indestructible legend will come to an end. Ha ha ha. I'll die laughing. The expression on Buggy's face when he saw Luffy was extremely funny. Poor Buggy, it's pitiful. He must have taken a strong blow when Luffy didn't react as much as he did when he saw him, saying, Oh, it's just buggy.
Ha ha ha. What an entertaining chase.
The events are becoming more exciting rapidly.
Ha ha ha.
Luffy is quickly breaking his promise. If Hancock knew he had been discovered already, I don't know how she would react.
He's still on the first floor. Ha ha ha.
I'm curious how he will manage to go all the way down to the 5th floor amidst all these strange monsters and powerful guards.
At this moment, the readers on Ohara were in a reading frenzy. The long-awaited fantastic events had finally arrived.
That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.